The New Orleans Saints have decided to start off the season with an absolute beatdown. They are up 30-3 at halftime over the Carolina Panthers. And speaking of halftime, this is our halftime show powered by 4D here for Boo Crew Media. I'm your host, Chris Rosvoglu. As always, we will have a post-game live stream to talk about this. Hopefully the Saints continue this. This has been one of the most impressive halves of football we've seen in a long time. I'm not just talking last 2-3 years, maybe even a decade. This was a statement. And if you guys have thoughts, comments, concerns, you throw them in the chat. We'll pull them up before the second half of action begins. But let's just start with what we've seen so far, and we'll go through them. The first thing, Derek Carr has been excellent. There's been so much criticism for him. Some of it deserved, some of it a little unwarranted. What you could say today about the way Derek Carr has played, and it really was a tone setter from the opening drive, is the toughness to stay in the pocket, deliver the throws, the touchdown pass to Rashid Shaheed, the 59-yard score. I mean, he knows he's going to take a shot, still delivers it anyway. So Derek Carr's been great. He's already got 3 touchdown passes. Second one kind of risky, but put it where only Foster Moreau can get it. Foster goes and does the thing. And then Juwan Johnson, that's another excellent throw from Derek Carr to give him 3 scores. So he's been outstanding. The defense has been swarming. I almost feel bad for Bryce Young. I obviously don't, because you know what? It's about the Saints and wanting them to succeed. So at this point, it's kind of like screw Bryce Young, but I almost feel bad at how overwhelmed he's been by this defense. And I feel like Dennis Allen, as this defensive mastermind, is starting to smell blood in the water. And with the way he's coaching this unit, particularly on third down situations, sending the blitz, it's been relentless. I mean, Alontae Taylor's got 2 sacks. Tyrann Mathieu got the forced fumble. Will Harris, the interception. A lot of good for the New Orleans Saints on defense. Even special teams. Rashid Shaheed returned that I thought was going to be a house call. Blake Grupe, 3 field goals, 2 of them over 50 yards. Just great stuff for the Saints so far. So many positives. We're going to get into a lot of them later, especially for our post-game live stream. But right now, my early takeaways, your quarterback looks rejuvenated. Your offensive system has purpose, particularly on the ground game. Alvin Kamara's looked outstanding. Taysom Hill's new role is fun as hell to watch. I mean, there's so much to get to. Kamara's averaging 7 yards a carry. Didn't expect to see, that high of a clip this early, but he's been great. Taysom Hill, 4 carries, 28 yards. So, I mean, there is so much good for the Saints right now that I really feel like this could be a confidence boost moving forward. And I know that people are going to bring up the opponent and say, well, it's the Panthers. This is what they're supposed to do. And they're going out there and they're doing the damn thing. So love what the Saints have been bringing so far, and I hope they keep it up. So I'll bring up some of your comments if you guys have them, and I'll add some other thoughts too as we get closer to the second half. And I can't wait to see how this team responds in the second half. Do they take their foot off the gas? Do they keep it going? Obviously, I hope it's one of those situations where you're full throttle. It's week 1. You got to figure out your identity. You got to figure out what you're going to be. And I hope they continue that. So let's go through what you guys have. Cooler Beat said, we haven't seen our punter once. That means everything is going right. The offense is a breath of fresh air. It is. It absolutely is. This offense has looked tremendous. Kudos to Klint Kubiak. He talks about not showing everything, vanilla offense in the preseason. And to come out here, full extension, let the unit cook. So many clever run plays. The ground scheme's been great. There's been situations where Alvin's got 2-3 yards of space before he even sees a tackler. We didn't have that last year with Pete Carmichael. It was 2nd and 10 run plays that went nowhere. So to see that on display, to your point, when the punter doesn't come out, you're doing something right. And everything's going right for the Saints. And even when they're not capitalizing, right? Because if I was to pick one negative in this half, guys, it's the only negative. 2 turnovers, only 6 points off those turnovers. You got to turn those into touchdowns. Even when that happens, Blake Grupe's out here bombing field goals left and right. He's got a 44-yarder, a 52-yarder, and a 57-yarder. And there was a kicking competition earlier this year. So Blake Grupe, way to start your season off reaffirming the coach's decision and making them feel validated. And that part's awesome to see. Yahtzee says, amazing when we have a play caller using motion and not being so damn predictable. Wholeheartedly agree on that. I mean, like I said, the difference between Kubiak and Pete Carmichael, night and day. Trav504 saying, go Saints. Kasim says the offense is rolling. Rachel saying, is this real life? It is real life for the Saints. You come out here 30-3 beatdown so far. Outstanding. And the funny thing is, I said on the pregame, on the preview show, I kind of think the Saints win 20-17 or like 24-17. Yeah, how about 30 points in the first half? I look like a moron. I love when that happens, when the Saints are succeeding. So this was just great. Hill Mendoza says Derek Carr, who I'm about to make a name for myself. Yeah. So I guess you're going with the Gambit meme there. And look, Derek Carr can do this. This is why there is that frustration with Derek Carr. And I talked about it at the end of last year. He finished the season so strong. And the biggest frustrating, the most frustrating aspect about him finishing strong was that the games almost felt like they didn't matter because the Saints needed so much help to get to the playoffs. And had he done that earlier, then you don't have to worry about it. But the way Derek's looked today, the confidence, the tough throws, moving out of the pocket a little bit. I love that part about Kubiak too. Get Carr moving a little bit because you don't have the greatest O-line in the world. We all know that, although they are playing pretty well today given the standards. Get him rolling and get him on a different platform. And you've done that. And Derek's been great. Derek is throwing the ball with a ton of confidence. Hasn't really made any throws where you're like, oh man, that's tough. Even a 3rd and 15, right, where the Saints don't convert. He throws it to Shaheed. The ball placement's one of those where either Shaheed's going to make a catch low to the ground and get you the first down, or it's going to be incomplete. But no silly throws, no dangerous throws. And worst case, you walk out with 3. And that's what the Saints did. HT says that Hill drop would have been 4 touchdowns. Yeah, and again, another good throw. I know Juwan Johnson was open. People talked about it. I'm fine with Derek giving Taysom Hill a chance in that one-on-one situation. And I'm okay with the results. I mean, maybe next time around, Taysom Hill brings that ball down. But that's a fine throw by me. Hit him right in the hands. Trav504 says, keep pounding the Panthers. Yep, absolutely. This is a multifaceted win if this continues, right? You want to beat up on a division opponent. You want to get confidence going into week 2 against the Cowboys. And 3, you want to get your fan base going because coming into this game, we had a lot of questions about what this Saints team can be. And one half of football does not answer all those questions. Like, don't get it wrong. I'm excited. I'm amped up about this, but it doesn't answer all the questions. But the fan base seems completely bought in right now. The energy in the dome is incredible. There's multiple instances in the first half alone where Bryce Young couldn't hear a damn thing. You got the Eagles coming to the dome in like 2 weeks. That place is going to be rocking when you give them a reason to be. So I love that aspect of it. There's so much to get into in terms of the confidence that a game like this can build if the Saints continue. The game isn't over. They got to continue in the second half, keep their foot on the gas, but this is an early statement from them. Cooler Beat says they're a good team taking care of business against a bad team like they should. It's a good sign. Yep. And that's why I don't want to hear it all about, it's who they're playing, this and that. The Saints last year were not doing this sometimes. I remember a frustrating game against the Bears with Tyler Bagent as their quarterback. I remember them struggling against this same Panthers team last year. Granted, different coaching staff, a worse coaching staff probably, and they struggled. So I don't want to hear the opponent thing. To come out here week 1 where teams are kind of rusty, figuring it out, and to do this, it's great, especially when the Saints were talking a big game. Coming into this week, they were talking about wanting to send a message. 30-3, that's a pretty strong message to send. Forgive says, I know it's the Panthers, but I saw a lot of people saying the Saints are going to be the worst team this year. How can they possibly be worse than the Panthers? Yeah, I agree with you. That was the dumbest thing I saw this whole offseason. Colin Cowherd had the Panthers winning today, had the Saints finishing last in the division. I don't want to hear that. Panthers are a bad football team right now. Saints 41 says, O-line has played well. They have. No, Mendoza says, just for the first half, we should hire Pete Carmichael and then fire him immediately. Yeah, I would be okay with that. And I feel bad like ripping a dude that's no longer employed with the team. But Pete Carmichael's offense was such a joke last year. What we're seeing today with Klint Kubiak, that's a modern day offense. So shout out to him. Carl Dunn says, holy shit, who are you and what did you do to my team? Yeah, this looks like a legitimate football team. Way more fun than anything we've had last year. No doubt about it. Forgive says, if AK scores a touchdown, I win 2.3K. So I hope AK scores, man. They still got time, so hopefully they do. Bruce says, can we start a GoFundMe to put a statue of Klint Kubiak in front of the dome? We'll see about that. I mean, it's a little early, but I love the confidence. David says, Penning has been holding a lot on the good place too. Luckily, the refs aren't calling much on either side. Chase Young has been getting held too. Yeah, I was about to say, David, I like that you mentioned both because there have been moments where Chase Young's been doubled, and I'm like, all right, Chase Young probably could draw a holding call here. Hasn't. Maybe they just want to speed along the game, especially with the way it's going. Max says we're lucky to get 17 points in the game, and we got that in the first quarter. Times are changing, man. Times are changing for sure. Timo says Groupie is apparently the best kicker in the NFL. Great start. I have him on my fantasy team, and I will say he might finish as my highest scorer this week, which I don't know if I should be happy about that or sad about it. So, Warrior Superfan says, let's get Olave going, man. Yeah, it might not at this point because with the way this game's going, you're going to start the second half in a couple of minutes. You probably just want to run the football and make sure you get out of here with a win. But in the third quarter, they'll probably still air it out. So that might be the chance to get Olave going. Gabriel says Rashid Shaheed has first-round talent and should only return kicks when we need it. Way too valuable and just simply the best receiver in the NFL that no one knows about. I like that. I do think he's under the radar. But you saw today how just dangerous he can be as a return man, you know? Max says, hate that we gave up the field goal at the end. Shows DA still plays not to lose. I don't want to get into that part yet. They had to score at some point. I didn't think they were going to have pitch a shutout for 60 minutes on the first game. Timo says, we killed him and Olave didn't do anything, bro. We're insane. Either the Saints are insane or the Panthers are this bad. Either way, though, you take the result and you absolutely live with it. Gabriel says, Dennis Allen's defense looks incredible, but seeing his face and hearing him speak still pisses me off. He's so damn punchable, man. Great job, though. Can't lie. Yeah, all right, that's fair enough. I'm going to give DA credit today, though. The Saints have come out with purpose. Shaw Jackson says, do you think we can continue this against the Cowboys? I said last week, I actually think that is a game the Saints can steal. Let's get to that week, and then I'll explain why. But I do think the Saints can steal that game. So I don't think they'd be up 30-3 at halftime, but I do think they could steal it. Max says, can we agree Deontay Johnson got away with OPI on a Debo on that play towards the end of the first half? Sure. I do think the refs are letting them play on both sides. I feel that pretty confidently, to be honest. Aaron says, it feels good. It feels good, though. Shake my head. It makes all Saints fans stress-free. Yeah, and that's what we want. We want stress-free, enjoyable Sundays. Don't know how many of them we're going to get this year, so I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this as this continues. And then, obviously, speaking of continuing, we do have the second half coming back up. So hopefully they keep their foot on the gas. And who knows, put 50 on the board in the first game. I'd be definitely cool with that if they can continue it. Mr. Blade says the play calling has been great, especially with the different looks / personnel packages. It has been. Run game has looked tremendous. Saints 41, defense has always been our strongest unit under DA. I think we're good today. Yeah, they're definitely looking good. And with the 27-point lead, now it's about kind of pinning your ears back. Chase Young, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan. Pass rushers are going to have a chance to put up some numbers in the second half. So we'll see if they can do that. And speaking of second half, it's about to start, which means we're about to close this halftime show that is powered by 4D. Want to give a shout out to 4D for all their help and promoting the show. And speaking of the show and Boo Crew Media, we are going to do our post-game live stream after this game goes final. Hopefully the vibes continue to be really positive. And hopefully I see all of you there, because if I did miss any of your comments, you could bring them into the post-game live stream, and I will definitely bring them up. Anyone who's done them before knows we go for a while in there, about an hour, maybe over an hour. So hopefully I see a lot of you guys back for that, and make sure you subscribe to Boo Crew Media's YouTube page for that one and hit the notification bell so you get alerted for when we go live. But that's going to wrap it up for this halftime show. Let's see if the Saints can keep their foot on the gas and secure their first win of the season.